Hi again, everybody. It's Dan McTeague, Canadians for Affordable Energy, and I'm president here. Of course, we've been doing a lot of work in the past few years on energy issues, policies. All those things have sort of been put to the side. A lot of times in 2018, 2019, 2020, 21, we really didn't care about the price of energy, especially with the COVID reduced energy prices for a lot of our electricity, but most importantly for gasoline and for diesel. We're now seeing a bit of an uptrend in the prices, and now a bit of a decrease as a result of hedge funds playing games with and manipulating, and I call it what it is, manipulating prices to short oil and gas. It's not because they think there's an opportunity to make money. It's because they are following the dictates of those who believe that we can somehow get rid of fossil fuels like propane, natural gas, diesel, oil, and of course gasoline. All those things, of course, are significantly responsible for about 80% of the world's energy. And trying to get rid of it is a little bit like saying, you only have to breathe once every 2 minutes in order to survive. It can't be done. It won't be done. And it's not going to be done anytime soon. Having said that, we want to focus on something that often is getting a lot of play publicly, but it wasn't a few years ago. And that was our concern that we rang the bell on with carbon taxes. And I'm not just talking one carbon tax, I'm talking about two, the clean fuel standard being the second one. Back in 2021, we said that clean fuel standard would probably halt the growth in the economy by about 1%, cost average families about $2,200 a year net, and provide absolutely no decline in so-called emissions. Not that CO2 is a big problem. Even scientists are now starting to say not a bad thing, especially if it contributes to growth of plant life and whatnot, which of course, as a country with massive boreal forests and a nation in which agriculture is important, having a little bit of CO2 is never a bad thing. But I digress. The fact is, the impact has been on consumers and consumers alone. It was cool and trendy, and everybody could afford to, have sunny ways, as it were, back in 2015 and 2019 and 2021, when carbon taxes were only a few pennies a liter, and you were given a bit of a what I call a bribe. They stiff you with these carbon taxes, but give you back a few pennies. So most of us would, be happy with a little tap on the head and a bit of a shooing away. But now, of course, with carbon taxes at 17.61 cents a liter, and that, of course, is for gasoline, with diesel at about 21.39 cents a liter plus HST or GST, depending where you're in the country. With propane, 12.3 cents a liter. That's to keep yourself warm. There's no many other reasons for it, although you could probably argue for barbecuing, plus tax. And of course, a cubic meter of natural gas at 15.25. All these things in 6 months will be going up an extra 3 to 4 cents a liter. In the case of natural gas, 18.11 cents. Propane up to 14.7, so it's an increase of 2.5 cents per liter. Light fuel, that is diesel, going from 21 to 25 cents a liter. And then, gasoline going from 17.61 up to 20.91 cents a liter plus GST or plus HST, in which case the HST in Ontario is 13%. In Quebec, 14.975, and out in the Maritimes, Atlantic Canada, which didn't have a problem with these things originally, 15%. So we're talking a significant stifling of the public and really hitting consumers where they can't afford it. And the rebates will not cover it. It certainly won't cover what has now become very clear, that inflation is leading to higher interest rates. Interest rates are leading to higher costs of living. And they're actually adding to the price of public transportation. They're adding to the price and to the cost of food. They're adding to the cost of just about everything that is not directly related to the price of fuel itself. So when you fool around with energy, as we've allowed in this country, and as some of you out there have voted for, and I'm sure are having second thoughts about it, you should have a third thought, and that's don't think about it, let the perish the thought. We are looking at a scenario in which affordability in this country is going out the window. Not to make matters more difficult, we also know that in January, Ontario, Quebec will be joining, as will Western Canada, the rest of the Maritimes and British Columbia, with what will be eventually a 20-cent a liter hit, which is the second carbon tax, the clean fuel standard. Now, I had some of the CBC in Western Canada, deny this, but the reality is that using the government's own RIAs, what's called the Regulatory Impact Assessment Analysis, Now the carbon credits for the second carbon tax have to be bought at about $400 to $500 a credit. For every $110 a credit, it's 4 cents a liter. That's the federal government's own numbers from the 2019-2021 RIAs. And, it's all here. I have that all documented here. I gave this to CBC. Silence now. They don't want to talk about it because they know full well this is a public ripoff. That's not going to do anything to stop hurricanes. It's not going to stop bad weather. It's not going to stop forest fires unless, of course, you pile up wood, leave it there, and then command a bunch of firefighters to turn around so that you don't stop the fire in Jasper or other things like that. Or you have a number of people out there that are going out and ensuring that they are committing acts of arson in very difficult and dry weather. These are all things that I think the country is now coming to grips with and realizing that for the past 5 or 6 years, we've been going along with what is a scam and a very costly one for most people that is reducing the economy to ashes. And it's basically making of Canada a very difficult place to want to invest. The good news, of course, is that there's 22, 23 billion bucks every year going into federal, provincial, municipal coffers to pay for your healthcare system and mine. And that happens because of the oil sector. We also have some provinces say no to pipelines. Same provinces, and I don't need to mention them. Ma belle province, ma famille vient, where my family is from, Quebec, takes 13.5 billion bucks every year in federal government equalization by deliberately losing money on hydro for their customers as a means of saying the province is falling behind. However you slice it, Canada has been really in the grips of a cult that is determined to drive inflation up and to drive consumers' ability to make ends meet out the window. And for that reason, they need to go. So do their policies. All said and done, it's good to talk about the carbon tax. That's the low-hanging fruit. It's easy to go after. We need to go after net zero. It's a stupid policy. It has no basis in reality. It has no purpose other than to be able to find cute ways to make things very difficult. And without the technology to support it, which can't and is not available, we are going to impoverish Canada, and we're going to do so unnecessarily. Canadians are now responding politically to this. They want a change in government in a very, very big way. The government can continue along with its allies in the Green, NDP, and Bloc to prevent this, but it's not going to stop the inevitable. They've tinkered around. They've destroyed a perfectly good economy, and that's because everybody forgot the concept that abundant, affordable energy counts. It's what makes Canada tick, and it's the reason we exist here, and we're going to continue to fight for every one of you. Please donate. Please come see us. President@affordableenergy.ca is my website. And for this Thanksgiving weekend, let's take thanks in the fact that we have had abundant energy in the past. We're living on the fumes of that era. Perhaps in the future, we'll get back to reality. I'm hoping. Have a great Thanksgiving, everyone.